YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back on Total War Attila with another Age of Charlemagne online battle. This one's going to be Lombards versus Danes. I have never used the Danes online. They do not have cavalry, which is extremely worrisome. So limit your mobility, but obviously you can spam out infantry like there's no tomorrow, which is exactly what I've done. So I've gone with what I feel like is a pretty straightforward Dane army here. 5 spears. I didn't bring Levy Freeman either, so people might get on to me for this. Just the spearmen, not the Levy Freeman. And I've got 4 sword herdmen, upgraded to a silver chevron so that they have better attack, and it's really not bad attack on those guys. I've got 6 armored archers, so a lot of skirmishers. Going to be hard to protect them, but they can inflict a lot of damage with flaming arrows to cavalry. 1 Housecarl general and 4 big axes in the back line. So my deployment is spears up front to try and protect my sword herdmen from the charge of enemy cavalry. I don't think that would go real well, but still, I want to do it. Axes held in reserve, and then spears just spread out for defense. Now, my opponent, again, opts for a very strange army from the Lombards. He gets 4 skirmishers, which is, again, an odd choice. He's got these guardsmen, so elite spearmen would be very good versus cavalry, but they are never ever going to be good against axes or swords. So just don't do it. That's the best advice I can give you. Now, the rest of his troops I like. He's got 4 armored swordsmen, which will be a decent melee infantry. Now, you know that if someone picks the Danes, you have got to be able to out-skirmish them, which is difficult because they have access to cheap armored archers. Also, the best way to help handle the Danes is to probably get them singled out into little engagements where your cavalry can quickly support infantry and knock it out, because the Danes are going to try and overwhelm you with infantry. So you do probably want cavalry against the Danes since they don't have any, but it has to be used carefully because cavalry can be easily dealt with in this expansion. Whereas unlike the standard Attila, bringing a lot of cavalry would wreck an all-infantry army with relative ease. So yeah, you can see here my archers are going to push back his skirmishers with some pretty heavy losses, and my spearmen are just running point. This is going to force my opponent to split up, so he's going to split all his cavalry to one flank. This is great because it means he can't touch my archers anywhere on this flank unless he goes all the way around. So that's going to work in my favor, and as I see him split off his cavalry and they are not going to be a charge threat to my sword herdmen, I can just start pushing the sword herdmen forward, and then I'll start to pull my spears backwards and just set up a second line while I come and destroy his infantry. These guys being on the flank is a little worry. Now, he doesn't have cav over here, but neither do I, so I can't chase these guys down. And if I send axemen over there, I'm sure to take a bunch of javelin volleys, but, you know, they're just going against spears, so they'll still probably do a lot of damage. So yeah, I'm just going to fast forward for a second. So I'm just going to straight go in for a charge here with all my swords. And over here, my opponent makes his first mistake, charging into some spearmen. He's going to get a pretty clean charge, but as he pulls out, he's going to take a lot of losses. And here you can see his Gastald guardsmen going down big time to the flaming shot. My sword herdmen are connecting with his infantry now. So his armored swordsmen did not get a charge. My sword herdmen are going to have better stats here because of the upgrades, I believe. Maybe better stats just straight out. Here comes the big axes. Now these guys are going to slaughter these guardsmen. So they're going to come in and probably do synchronized beheading here or something. So yeah, they're going to all kinds of slaughter these guardsmen. Now the guardsmen do have expert charge defense, and they will have used it to a decent effect. This axeman is going to lose just because of the sheer amount of javelins hitting them in the back. So again, those skirmishers did come in handy in that one instance, but otherwise the enemy line just gets absolutely slaughtered by the Dane infantry. Only where his skirmishers get a few tosses do they do alright, and even this sword herdman still wins. His cavalry has had to stay back because it's worried about my archers, and that has allowed my plan of an infantry rush to just absolutely crush his center. And it's going to mean that he does not have enough troops left to take care of business. Now these skirmishers got killed by my armored archers. You can see them here just getting mowed down by all kinds of archer fire coming in. Quite beautiful, actually. So yeah, those guys are gone. And again, you can see that I just absolutely clobbered his infantry line. I lost 2 big axes, but they are cheap units. I can afford that. His guardsmen, however, were not cheap units, and nor were his armored swords. So the Danes are very efficient with infantry, and the best thing you can do is try to hit their axes with missiles. Maybe a rear charge would work, or an interruption charge or something. I don't know exactly how cavalry fares head-on into big axes. If they're in spaghetti lines, you know, they may do all right and kill a number of them, but prolonged combat I think is going to go very poorly for the cavalry. So yeah, his guys are running around in wedge back here. Wouldn't recommend using the wedge formation in the Age of Charlemagne that I've seen yet. I don't think it's going to be very useful. I think it decreases his block chance, and now he's just going to be eating these flaming volleys. So yeah, my archers are going to start making him pay, and then you can see my infantry is just keeping him away from the archers. His general gets mowed down, so his Gastald Guard cavalry is the one taking all these flaming shots. And his general dies, and he's going to try and charge through my spears, which he can do, and he's going to try and get to these archers. But all I have to do is just pull the archers back, and I'll have a line of infantry waiting to destroy his cavalry. And again, the flaming damage continues. This unit was trying to kind of get around the flank, so I targeted it. There he goes. He just busts through. I don't have but a single line of spearmen, so this is not a pull-through of any sort. He can easily bust through my men. But I'm going to pull the armored archers away, and I'm going to come in here with sword herdmen, big axes, whatever I can get in here, and we'll start crushing the enemy cavalry in prolonged combat. So yeah, the Lombards not having such a good battle here. The Danes can be absolutely punishing as a faction, but they can be beaten as well too. In fact, I think that some of the more competitive matches I've seen on other channels, the Danes actually do struggle in online play because it can get very tricky to protect all your archers without cavalry, and then a skilled cavalry player can put some pretty good punishment on you. Though again, cavalry can be punished relatively quick as well. Not much else left to see in this battle. We'll fast forward to the end of it. Good game to my opponent. Let's go make a different suggestion army for him. Again, fighting against the Danes, you're going to have your work cut out for you because of Berserkers, Big Axes, and the Housecarl General. But, I mean, do not discount their skirmishers either, though you can sometimes get their skirmishers singled out and killed with cavalry if you bring enough infantry to try and tie down Danish infantry. But let's go take a look at the custom battle screen here, and if we switch over to the Kingdom of the Lombards, I'm not real familiar, so the Gastald Guard is going to be best versus infantry. It'll be very good versus infantry, actually. So I'm trying to think. I mean, some cheap spearmen like these Levy Freemen can definitely be handy at keeping, you know, the Dane spearmen in check. Just trying to look at stats-wise here. All these units are probably going to get clobbered by Danish infantry. The Gastald swordsmen are pretty good, actually, but they're expensive. Lombard axemen. I don't know how these guys fare against swordsmen, but if they do alright, this might be a good matchup against sword herdmen. I would not want them matched up against big axes. I mean, you don't want pretty much anything matched up against big axes. Trying to think what would be a handy. It'd probably be hard to get proper charges with the Lombard Lancers. It's not an impossible thing. Like, you might try and keep these guys, like one or two of them around to go after like a big axe unit in the center and try and lay it out to dry. You're gonna struggle in an archer fight. That's all there is to it. But I'm just trying to think from an infantry standpoint. I'm almost thinking, well, these guys have no armor, so that would probably not be a solid choice. I mean, you almost have to go with Gastald swordsmen, which are very expensive. You need a few of them, then maybe throw a few more swordsmen in here. And then from a cavalry standpoint, since they don't have much to go against you, kind of thinking that just some Lombard horsemen for maneuverability. And then you're going to want some archers. Man, I don't know. It'd still be tricky to take care of the Danes, even with an army like this. You might go ahead and spend the extra money. Since they don't have cavalry, it might be better to just spend the money on the Gastald cavalry because it's going to be a lot better versus infantry and archers. It's going to be heavy. It'd be tough, man. You'd still have your work cut out for you against the Danes, but with 5 cavalry units on the field, if you could at least just keep their archers busy and some of their other infantry busy and try and get some good singled out engagements, you'd do okay. But I'm worried that, I mean, you might actually just forego the spearmen. That'd probably be smarter. Forego the spears and maybe just bring like more archers or something. You're gonna struggle in an archer fight because they're gonna have the armored archers. It will definitely be a challenge. Let's see, maybe if you cut the Gastald cavalry, so now you can at least match their archers for a moment. Let's see. Those swordsmen have so not any armor. They would definitely need cavalry support. Maybe if you did 2 Lombard horsemen, 2 Gastald cavalry, and then you could get maybe 1 more Gastald swordsman. Yeah, I don't know. That would be my best guess. You're still going to suffer, but at least you got 3 cavalry. They're going to be decent against melee infantry, like a sword herdman or something, or in rear charges. You've got 5 fairly sturdy swordsmen. If they get into the shield wall, they'll hold out against anything fairly well, except for big axes. You would have to make sure your archers try to get a piece of the big axes, but the problem is you'd almost have to rush the Danes, because their archers are going to win. I would keep these guys on the flank, send the Gastald swords up front with the support of the Gastald cavalry, send the Lombard horsemen around the flanks, and immediately begin harassing the Danish archers. And that would give you your only chance right there, I believe. If you could get rid of their archers and keep yours alive, in the late game, you could pick the Danes apart. So that would really be your goal, is get rid of the Danish archers, keep yours alive, and then you should be good. That would be your best bet. Sword cavalry and archers in the late game, and you might be in decent shape. Hope y'all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.